Well, hello there, Retro PC Durham. Chris here with another video. As you can see, we have a ThinkPad on the bench. Seen quite a few of those lately, which is nice to see. And this one has the following problem. As you can see, damaged screen. Let's take a look at what that actually means, assuming that I didn't unplug the... All right, let's see if I can get into the... All right, so what you should be able to see here on the screen is some damage. This black marks here, and then there's another here. So yeah, the screen is damaged. What is good, should be good, about this is that screens are relatively easy to replace on most laptops, and I understand that the T520 is no exception in terms of being relatively easy to replace. So what we're going to do is replace the screen. I have ordered a replacement screen. It's just slightly off to the side here, and I thought I would, document the process of how it's done on this particular model. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is remove the battery. Now this is, again, an older system. The battery clip is kind of broken on this, but the battery is still functional. So we're going to remove the battery, and then we will go back over onto the system here. What's nice about the way that the process on this works is you don't actually have to open up the entire system to get at cables and things. You just have to open up the front. So the first step is there's 3 tabs here that are covering up screws, so we need to remove those. I do not have a spudger, a plastic spudger, I think with a tight enough marker to be able to get into this without breaking it. So, oh, maybe I do. Oh, I almost got it. Oh, I don't want to break them because the plastic on these can be pretty, right? You can see here what it looks like. Right? So I'm going to put this to the side. I'm just going to kind of rest it on top of the battery so I don't lose it. Let's see if we can get the next one off without breaking it. Okay, we got that one. And then the last one. I have the right edge. My most sharp edge of this spudger got broken when I was trying to get some stuff working on another laptop. I was trying to work the sides off of it, and I managed to pop the piece off. I could use this utility knife, but I'm always wary of using blades on stuff like that, because all it takes is one slip and you've left a nasty gash. And so if I can do it, if it takes a little bit longer, I'll do it with the plastic spudger. Okay, so we've got them all off here now. You'll see there'll be 3 Phillips head screws that we will remove, and they should be pretty easy to get off. 1, 2, and 3, and we're done there. So once that's done, the next step is just to remove this plastic bezel that is around the side, and it's not heavily secured, so it's pretty easy just to kind of work your fingers lightly underneath, and you can work it away. I'm going to remain gentle with this screen, even though it's, dead and for all intents and purposes garbage. But so we're going to take that off, and as you can see now, that is removed, and we will set that aside as well. Now, the next thing that we need to do here is remove the 1, 2, 3, 4 Phillips head screws that are located in the 4 corners around the frame that holds the LCD in place. So I will remove 1, will remove number 2. I will remove number 3. And we will remove number 4. So what has happened now is there's been a bit of a tension release, and now this screen, you'll see here, will, this is kind of cool, will actually move up a little bit on some hinges, right? So I don't know if you can see behind there, right? There's my back of my screen, which is resting against this box I put here. And that separates this off and really reveals 4 screws. 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. There'll be a 4th one on the other side. So I'm going to remove those 4 screws as well. And hopefully not lose them, because they're, of course, nice and tiny. I'm going to set them over on this side. They are a different color from the black screws that are used on the frame, but I will move them over here regardless. Okay. And one more to go. Make sure I'm unscrewing in the actual correct direction. Okay. So we've now removed, as you can see, we're kind of a little bit loose now. So I'm going to take this chamois or anti-static cloth, and we just need to kind of tilt this forward. It's no longer connected to the system hinges. So the only thing that's remaining is right here. The most difficult part of this particular surgery is removing the actual connector. So on these systems, you have a 40-pin connector, which sends the signal and power and everything all together. These are LED-based screens, so there isn't a separate backlight sensor that has to be sent with power and on a separate cable. Some of the older models have that. If I have the chance in the future, maybe we'll be able to do a video, if I can get a screen for it, to do a T500, which is the previous generation to this, and actually has one of the older types of screens that we can show where both of those cables are. But in this case, it's just the one. So for this, there's lots of tape here, right? So we're not supposed to touch anything, and you got to be very careful about kind of working this all up and away and disconnecting it all. But you're trying to do it without ruining the tape, without ripping anything. And if you're going to do one of these replacements, my recommendation is this is the part that you can take as much time as you want. Put on some music, some relaxing music, and just take it easy, because you don't want to wreck the cable. That would be a bad thing to have happen. So I've got one side of the tape up here. Work the other side back. And again, I guess if you've got a roll of this tape and you don't care, you're doing a lot of these, I guess that's fine. You can kind of let it go, but you know, for most of us, that's not the case. This is what you've got to work with, and this is what you've got to work with. So you kind of just take it. All right, so we've got that part up, and then the next piece is to work this tape here. The cable kind of goes where it's wrapped tight to where it's kind of opened up and goes from being, you know, individual strands to a ribbon. So we need to work that off as well. Pardon my arm getting into the shot here as I go to the other side of the tape here. I'm just doing the opposite of what I was doing on this side, kind of peeling it to the side. I am touching the transparent tape, so apologies. This screen is not going to get used again so I don't feel so bad about it not getting done. Okay, so I've got that all taken care of. Now the next piece is this should just come off without too much more effort. I'm pretty sure I'm not missing any additional tape on here, am I? No, there it is. Okay. There was one more kind of piece of tape here that was going up the plastic, and it was transparent and I didn't see it. Okay, so now we have this off, and let me see if I can get you a closer shot of what the actual connector looks like. Okay, so here you're looking at the connector. Here you're looking at the connector. It's pretty tiny, as you can see. There's no like clips or anything like that you would have with like your keyboard connector or touchpad connector or other ribbon cables. So it's that's why this tape is so important, because once you get it kind of fixed in there, you really need the tape to hold it, finish holding it in place so nothing bad happens. All right, so let's zoom back out, and we're going to bring the new screen in and make sure that we put this in properly. Actually, I'm going to keep this where it is so we can have this shot to see the new screen coming in, because it doesn't really look any different from this side. So I'm just going to flip this around and bring this in. So here's my new screen. And all we need to do with the new screen is get this connector slid into place. It's spectacularly awkward, of course. There's not a ton of give, and you don't want to be there. Okay, so we're connected. We're in. Now we just have to put our tape down and hope that that tape is all holding and doing nice. Okay, don't want to push down too tight. And then I'm going to take our zoom out now. Okay, so now that we've got that done, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the tape here on this side and the tape here on this side. That's got the protective film that was covering the front of the screen. You can take that off beforehand. I left it on here right until it was time to actually flip this up onto the hinges. So we'll get this up onto the hinges now. The hinges will, give you a little bit of trouble because they're kind of bending in on themselves because they don't have something to hold on to. So be mindful of that when you're reattaching, that this is kind of, being a little bit, it's going to be a little bit difficult with you. So we'll get our first screw in. Hopefully my screwdriver here is giving me trouble with holding screws in place. This is not my regular lucky orange screwdriver that I should have been just using instead on this. So we're going to kind of line up here and get screw number 1 kind of just in there, and then we're going to get screw number 2 in there on the other side. Oh no. How did I know I was going to do that? How did I know I was going to drop one of the screws in the back of the chassis? So we'll fish that out once we get the top of the frame here secured, because I don't want to see the screen tilting back and falling down where it's not supposed to. Okay, let's go take a look and see what I did with that other one. Okay, we found it. It popped right back out. So next we will get this side in. I'm going to turn this a little bit so I can see better without blocking the camera completely. We're a little bit, are we off center? Remember when I said removing and attaching the ribbon cable was the most difficult part? It's not. It's working with the little tiny screws and little tiny screw holes that is the most challenging. Okay, one more of these, and then we can start our frame reassembly. One, two, three, and four. We're all set. So very gently now, bring these hinges back down into the frame. So we don't want to lift the frame back up to it. We want to push this hinge back down into this. It's still going to have, again, a little bit of pushback until we actually get those screwed down. And now we're gonna take care of that now. So I'm gonna start top right. I'm gonna get most of the way in and then move on to the next one, and we'll tighten once we've got all four kind of ready to go and lined up properly. Learned my lessons early on about tightening one screw at a time and leaving the rest. I got to remember here. Now I have to remember here which of these screws was the inner one. That's okay. It is the one on the right. So when you are putting back together, something to keep in mind on the frame, right, on the actual LCD hinge, there's going to be two screws here. The one on the outside is for the bezel. The one on the inside is the one that locks the hinge back down in place. Okay, so we'll tighten now. And then we can put our bezel back on. So again, these are just very light snaps. It doesn't take a ton of pressure to get this back into place. You want to snap in along the outer frame, right? So the way you removed it, you kind of pulled lightly from the inside. This one you kind of push down lightly on the outside. And that will get you nice and set. So the last thing we need to do here is we will reinsert our bezel screws and our plastic screw covers. And we will reattach these guys. Uh-oh. I just lost one of them. Where'd it go? I had it on the screwdriver and it just disappeared. There it is. Okay, let's get this back down. I was hoping I could use the screwdriver to kind of level it in so I didn't get it all stuck on my finger. Okay, there's one. And we will take number 2. Number 2 worked a lot better. Did exactly what I wanted it to do. And number 3, I'm going to push you into place. Job done. Except we do need to actually know that we did it correctly and the screen actually works. Oh, a couple more snaps to do there. Okay, so we have installed our memory. Next step is put our battery back in and let's boot up our system and see if we have a working screen. And would you look at that? Would you look at that? We now have a fully working screen on this system. Now, in the case of the T510, this is the 1600 by 900 screen. There is one screen size up from this one that you can get, which I think is 1920 by 1080p. I bought this screen on laptopscreens.com. I'm pretty sure they sell almost everywhere in the world. The 1600 by 900 was only like $66 or $70 Canadian shipped, whereas the 1080p version was like $120. And I weighed the price tag and thought to myself, I didn't feel that it was worth it for that much of a price difference on this system to get it back up and running. So again, if you've got a T510 or, you know, almost any ThinkPad, and most modern laptops as well are in this type of situation where they use the same type of screens. You can find a lot of them on laptopscreens.com. No, this is not a sponsored video. I just wanted to highlight, you know, something that was easy to buy, order. I could pay via PayPal, which I always find is very convenient. Shipping was very reasonable, maybe because there's a plant in Mississauga, which is just on the other side of the city of Toronto from where I live. And it was shipped and arrived at my house the next day. And it was shipped very well, very secure packaging. So yeah, there it is. System's ready to go. We're going to finish getting this one, you know, refurbished now that we've got the only problem that it really had was, you know, really having this problem with the screen being broken, and happy with the result. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. Hope you're staying safe and healthy, and we'll catch you in the next one.